They hate us cause they want us bound down. No, we never calm down. Just keep them hands up and stay prayed up. Faith in God we share. United we stand, divided we fall. Late nights get pulled over. Ain't got no one to call. When my skin dumbing down, do they care enough? Can't judge a book by its cover, but when it comes to us, it's true, it's true. We got our hands up, and still gon' shoot. This is true, this is true, this is true, this is true. We got our hands up, they still gon' shoot. Es verdad, hay gente que no quiere verme respirar. Es verdad, por ser de color me quiere fichar. Si nos unimos la voz no se va a acabar. Y si hablamos claro la cosa se va a arreglar. No nos vamos a dejar, no vamos a tolerar. Se acaba toda la injusticia. Yo quiero ser libre, yo quiero ser libre. Si somos de alto calibre, de toda bala que no me libre. Don't get it twisted, no matter if you Spanish or English. The targets are endless. This is where I draw the line. Being disrespected and harassed all the time. Can't even wear a hoodie when it's cold outside. Black and brown homies is what they wanna divide from the other side. This is true, this is true. We got our hands up, they still gon' shoot. This is true, this is true, this is true, this is true. We got our hands up, they still gon' shoot.
Fear and paranoia no longer an excuse. Before they can act, we end the abuse. Until those with guns learn to act with grace, we watch their every move, we show up and we face the reality we live, the right to stop and search. But we change the game, strip their right to hurt. Families torn apart at the seams. If one man falls, we lose an entire army.
They still gon' shoot. This is true, this is true. We got our hands up, they still gon' shoot. This is true, this is true, this is true, this is true. We got our hands up, they still gon' shoot.
2-minute countdown, everybody. 2-minute countdown.
Imagine a world where children run free. Doesn't matter the skin tone, doesn't matter the pedigree. A black child in a white neighborhood, playing free, no police checking where they should be.
This is true, this is true. We got our hands up, they still gon' shoot. This is true, this is true, this is true, this is true. We got our hands up, they still gon' shoot.
Taught as a child the rules for how to be. One day we all will walk free. Pull over, step out of the car. Civil rights for one are not afforded to all.
We got our hands up, they still gon' shoot. We fight for justice and war, but we got pain in our heart. I got my hands up, but you can still tell they wanna spark. Young boys on the block, they tryna ruin our dreams. Another black king down, yellow tape on these scenes. We grew up on nothing, we came up on
60-second countdown. 60-second countdown, ladies and gentlemen.
This is true, this is true. We got our hands up, they still gon' shoot. This is true, this is true, this is true, this is true. We got our hands up, they still gon' shoot.
Slavery abolished civil rights in '64. If we all were free, then what are we fighting for? A world without fear, a world without shame, a world where children don't avoid eye contact to avoid being blamed for a crime they didn't commit in a city they've never been to visit. But imagine this. Sirens roar, you trigger an alarm. Wide and far, people come to protect you from harm. Those who abuse power are now being watched. Now they know the fear. Within moments, they're caught.
This is true, this is true, this is true. We got our hands up, they still gon' shoot.
And the 7 o'clock hour has hit. Good evening, everybody. Good evening, good evening, good evening. And so tonight we want to turn off the noise for a little while. And in turning off the noise, we want to open our hearts and our minds, and we want to learn tonight. But we also want to honor and give credit to whom honor and credit is due. Tonight, we are going to talk to a young lady who has seemingly taken the East and West Coast by surprise. This young lady is a entrepreneur. She is a corporate mogul. She is a entertainment industry mogul, but more importantly, she is a daughter, a mother, a sister, and a friend. And so this evening, I am elated, I am honored to present to you the Miss Christy Luxe.
Hey,
How are
I am
you?
well. Now that was quite an introduction. Thank you.
It is befitting. It is befitting. So, Christy, thank you so much for joining us tonight on this consulting time. I don't even know how to start with you because this is not formal. This will not be formal. You have a story. You have a story. It is one of power and one of growth. And so I want to jump right in. Christy, I'm going to let you start off by telling the people who you are, and then we'll talk a little bit about your journey and things of that nature.
Okay, sounds good. Well, everybody, I'm Christy Luxe, and as Lily said, I'm really just a regular chick, honestly, out here just doing things, to the best of my ability. Um, I am a talent manager. I am a co-publisher. I am a CEO. But like you said, more importantly, I'm a friend. I'm a mother. I'm a sister. I'm a daughter. I'm all of those things. So, I'm happy to be here.
Absolutely. So, Christy, you've done a lot. You've done a lot. Let's start. Let's just walk through life.
Okay.
What was Christy like as a kid?
You know, always smart. Always smart. Skinny. And just
Okay, okay. You ain't had no curves yet.
girl, listen, didn't have a curve to my name. Didn't have one.
Oh,
But just I mean, the regular kid, just living life. Back then we could do that. We could just rock out and enjoy, and So yeah, I was always a brainiac. I wore glasses and skinny and fun and hung out with my girls, and that was pretty much me.
okay. So, when did you, well, first and foremost, what did you aspire to become, though, as an adult? When you were maybe, I'm going to say 12, 13, 14, what did you think your career was going to be?
I didn't know. I had no idea. Um,
Okay, okay.
Early on, I was of course into fashion and hair and all of those kind of things.
I
As a
can
young
give you
girl,
that.
I cut everybody's hair in the neighborhood, cut the doll's hair, and made
Oh,
little clothes for Barbie and all that stuff. But I really didn't know.
okay.
And even going into college, I didn't know. I went in when I was in high school. Back in that age, and then especially growing up in the Midwest, I was in Texas, Oklahoma,
Hmm.
during my, and of course I was in Germany for a few years. Um, but during that time, we didn't have social media and the internet. We didn't have access. So if you were smart, you were a doctor, you were a lawyer, you were an accountant.
That's,
Those were the things that you were expected to do.
that's
So in high school, I was planning to be an accountant. I competed in accounting competitions. I ranked in like the 98th percentile on my ACT. I went to Oklahoma State on an academic scholarship. So my plan was to be an accountant. So I I really liked fashion and I liked hair entertainment, but it was like, no, you're too smart to be doing that. Smart girls, that's
ah,
right.
okay,
So
okay.
yeah, I went to school to be an accountant, and needless to say, that did not last very long. I got bored real quick and decided, you know what, maybe I'll just work and go just do some other things and enjoy life because I was bored stiff. I was
Wow.
yeah, yeah.
Okay, so from Texas, how did you get to New York?
Well, my mother's side of the family, everyone on my mother's side, they all lived in Texas, and everyone on my father's side lived in New York. So
Ah,
yeah, so I was kind of in between, back and forth for many years. My parents were divorced early,
okay.
um, but so my mom had remarried, and my stepdad was in the military. So I grew up overseas. I'm a
Ah,
military brat for a while and everything, and I still hang out with my brat family. But back and forth pretty much between my mom and my dad for
okay.
years. So I feel like I'm a kind of a hybrid between New York and Texas. So it's like I have
Okay.
that New York City edge, but that Southern girl, swag.
But
It's just a
I
nice,
get, you know what? Yeah, yeah, I'll take that. I'll take that.
yeah,
All
that's
right,
like
Chrissy.
a nice blend.
So we getting a little personal, and that's
Mhm.
okay. But now is when I'm gonna jump in, and we gonna start bouncing all over the place,
Let's
right?
do it.
So you're in New York, and you enter the entertainment industry,
Hmm.
and you manage some underground hip hop artists. Now, what was that like managing underground? So now we will call them what, indie artists?
Yes. Yep.
Okay.
Heavily.
So what was that like?
It's funny how that even happened because one of my girls, one day she was like, we should start a record label. And I'm like, okay, how would one go about just starting? It was like so random. We're like, early 20s, like, okay, well, we're gonna start a record label. So what is that supposed to look like? You know,
Ah,
we
okay.
never felt like we couldn't do it. It was almost like, okay, we just gonna figure out how. We never felt like we couldn't do anything. Honestly, it was like, okay, this is what we're gonna do. We just gonna start a record label. So
Hmm.
this will happen. A friend of mine that I had known for years, we ran into each other, and he was telling me that he was an MC and he had like this group of MCs, a whole conglomerate of guys, and they were looking for management. So I was like, okay, well maybe we'll start with the management thing, and then we'll develop that into a label. So that's literally how it started because she randomly picked up the phone one day and was like, we should start a record label. And I'm like, yeah, girl, let's start a
Wow.
record, not knowing anything about starting a label, but we just jumped in because what we were was smart. We were smart and we were business savvy,
Mm,
and at the end of the day, that's what it took. That's still what it takes. Being able to foster, relationships, being able to just, being business savvy and make business decisions for your clients. So it's still the same. It's still the same formula. It took some years of getting some experience and everything.
absolutely.
Still same formula, same formula. So we managed the underground hip hop artists for a while, and my girl, she, got married, had kids, and so I was left with like all these artists. Like, okay, now I got like 13 of y'all, and what am I supposed to do? But yeah, so then I had another partner
Uh-huh.
that I met, and we continued managing artists for a while, and we had some success. We definitely had some wins, especially that early on. It was a different time in music, and we were doing
Absolutely.
things, back then. But we had some wins for sure. But ultimately, it was like after several years, management is a very underappreciated career. Um,
Absolutely.
at some point in everyone's career, every client's career, they're always going to feel like you haven't done enough. They should be further along, whether it's true or not. But perception is reality, and you get to that point where it's like, okay, is this really what I want to do?
Hmm, hmm.
So I kind of veered off from management for after a while. Just was like, I think I want to do something else, and really started doing more event promotions, event planning, marketing, like really got into doing a lot of events, and it was cool. It was cool. And then we transitioned and moved out here to Atlanta. And I still had a few artists, when I moved out here, but ultimately, I kind of like let that phase out and
Okay.
started doing some other things and
But
just
in that mix of these underground artists,
mhm.
if I'm not mistaken, you managed the artist that got me doing my favorite, my little dance. So for real?
Yeah, yeah, I did.
So, and I was like, what? Like, okay.
Yeah.
Wow. Now, was that one of the situations just kind of you fell into, or?
Kind of. So what happened was when I was out here in Atlanta, I started working for this guy, he was an ex-Falcon. His name was Terrence Mathis. He played for the Falcons, I think, for like 13 or 14 years. And
Okay.
I headed up his branding division, branding and marketing, for we did that for ex-athletes and entertainers. It was called Optimal LLC.
Okay.
So
Okay.
that that's where I met Soul for Real. A friend of mine actually had referred us. They came down. We were doing back in the day, the W Hotel over by Perimeter Mall out here in Atlanta was like a club scene. It was like popping on Fridays. So
Oh,
we had bands that played over there. And so Soul for Real came down and they, did a set with the band and everything. And we just vibed. We just vibed and we were like,
okay.
cool. And really, I mean, still really good friends to this day. But yeah, so on their comeback, the second time around is when I worked with them and started managing. I was like, well, maybe it'll be different. Get back into management. Maybe it'll be different. They're known. They have a reputation already. They already have connections. Let me tell you, different shit, but it all stinks at the end of the day. I was,
Factual.
man, this is still not for me. It's still not for me.
Okay.
Yeah. So
So, all right. So, guys, once again, you're checking in. This is the Diva edition of It's Consulting Time, and I have the Queen Diva, baby. She is from Texas to New York to ATL. I love her dearly, and she's set apart. And I'm just gonna leave it like that. You take it for whatever it is, but she's set apart, and that's why I love this young lady so much. But Christy, so let's backtrack. So you went for accounting. Accounting was it,
yeah.
but you found a love for entertainment, and so you entered the industry.
Hmm.
But you created a lot of opportunities for yourself by cultivating relationships, right? And
I
in
created
cultivating those relationships.
Yeah, yeah. I created all my opportunities for myself, honestly. Every single thing that I have done, it was pretty much creating my own lane. None of it was anything that I had experience in doing necessarily.
Okay.
No doors were just really open, and people didn't come to me saying, "Hey, you know what? I have a position for you." I created the lane that I was in every single time across the board. That's just
Okay.
how I moved. I never felt like I couldn't do anything. What I did know was, again, I had the intelligence, I had the business savvy. It was a matter of applying it. I worked in retail management for years of my life, years and years
Wow.
and years.
Okay.
Yeah, so I've always had like a balance. I always walk a line because at the end of the day, when you're first starting on your own journey, there's no checks involved. You know what I'm saying? There's no check. So you still got to have a check coming in.
Hello, somebody.
Absolutely. Got to have a check. So I've always walked the line. Like I'm always going to have the business side, that corporate business side, while I'm walking the line and doing the entrepreneur thing. So I
Okay.
was in retail management for years. But for me, management is management is management. It doesn't matter what it looks like ultimately. You know what I mean? It all, in my mind, it's all the same thing. So I never felt like, oh my God, I can't manage a magazine. I can't work with celebrities. I don't know anything about music. I never felt that way. Management is management at the end of the day to me. So, I just kind of created a path and just did my own thing in doing it.
Wow. So, all right. So you got to Atlanta and you're doing your thing, and then you switch over another way. And
Yeah.
this, I mean, you're hosting events for what? BET, MTV, you're doing all this stuff, but then a magazine finds you.
Yes. And that actually happened in Texas. So,
Wow.
from 2008 to 2010, in '08, the market crashed, and that's the time when everybody's looking at trying to find different things to do. We need new
Yeah.
avenues.
Yep.
So we decided, I was married at the time, and we decided to move out to Texas where the rest of my family was. We're like, let's try. This is the time to try it. And, the family's like, come on, come out here. We want you out here. Bring the kids. So we moved to Texas, and I actually hosted my first event in Texas. My truck wasn't even there with my stuff on it. Like I had already set up the event. I premiered Sex in the City for HBO out in Dallas. And I mean, it was a great event. It was a huge success. And that just kind of, spiraled. I started doing more and more events. I did a fashion event called Cocktails and Couture with Tyson Beckford. And the name of my company at the time was the Go-To Girls. So it was me and two other young ladies, and we were the Go-To Girls.
Oh, okay, GTG.
Yep. So it was the event that I did for Tyson Beckford that the guys from Krave came out to. And that's where I met. Yeah, that's where I met them because they came to my event. And they did an article on me. So my first introduction to Krave was a feature about me and as in Go-To Girls, just doing events and everything.
Okay,
and then we started to talk, and we realized like we really need to work together. So I spent about the first 4 years, I would say, from like '08 to maybe 2012, as the director of brand development for Krave Magazine. So I started as the brand manager. And then eventually, I was like, I think I want to be editor in chief. So I was like, I really have a vision, and I think that I can really help this vision come to life. So Sure, Will Young was like, yeah, I think you probably can. Let's do it. And that is literally where my career as editor in chief of Krave started, just like that.
Wow.
Yeah, and I was with Krave for 10 years. 10 years, and we did some amazing things. Like we pioneered a lot of things as far as the smaller, independent magazines for people of color. We were on the reality shows first, and we did, so many different things in the market, and it just opened up for a lot of other magazines to kind of, follow in behind us and do what we're doing. So it was great, and it was a great experience and a great run. And a lot of times I miss that life. I miss being on set, and creative direction.
And that's what I was gonna ask. Do you miss it? Well. I don't want to get ahead of myself. So while with Krave, another business opportunity opened up.
It did. It did. It did.
Tell us a little bit about that because I feel like that's ongoing.
Let me tell you, I have to tell this story because I feel like not enough people have heard this story, honestly. Some people have heard it, but I feel like not enough people have heard it. So we had this shoot that we had scheduled, and it was Tank, the R&B singer Tank, and Dez Bryant from the Cowboys. We were going to shoot them both for upcoming issues, but we were going to shoot them in LA. Flew together. Stylist Troy Clinton had pulled all the looks and everything, and Dez ended up getting called to the Cowboys early, so he couldn't shoot that particular weekend. And Tank was just being Tank, and he was just, I want this look, I want this stylist. Yeah, so I was like, Krave, we're men's fashion magazine, so our looks are always going to be on brand. We're not a lifestyle magazine like an Essence, where it's not really about the talent per se. They're a hanger at the end of the day. What you wear, we're going to take you out of your comfort zone. It's going to be about fashion. So you don't really get to choose when you're on a Krave cover. We're going to choose for you. You know what I mean? If the look is floral for the season, that's what you're going to have on. So anyway, we had a back and forth with Tank, and it was like, I don't think I'm going to send a whole crew out there because Dez is not available. Tank is acting up. So, I think we need to do something else. So Troy Clinton, the stylist, he said, listen, I have $20,000 worth of clothes that I have pulled for these shoots. We're going to put somebody in them. He was like, I'm not like, I didn't pull them.
That's right.
He's like, we're going to put somebody in them. So I called Will, and I was like, look, Troy is like, we got to shoot a model or somebody, in these clothes. Will said to me, he said, you need to shoot Travis Cure. He said, you put Travis Cure in a suit, he's going to look like the Black James Bond. That's exactly what he said to me. I had never seen Travis Cure. I didn't know who he was talking about. So and I was like, yeah, absolutely. So we reached out to his people and we set the shoot up, and literally that is how it happened. That's how it happened. We had I went on set, and I usually go on set when we have celebrities, but I don't usually go for like the fashion shoots. But I was like, I'm going to go out there. We don't usually even shoot fashion editorials here in Atlanta. We shot most of those in Dallas. I was like, I'll go out there. Got out there late. Of course, people who know me know I'm typically late everywhere I go. I don't know when that happened, but it happened. So
on time for me.
I nowhere on time. I'm late everywhere. It's crazy. But went on set and he did an amazing job. And I saw something in him there. And Will had already told me, but one of the things about Crave is that we have always found talent first. Back Keith Carlos won America's Next Top Model. He was the first male to win. We had him
Yeah.
in our contest 4 years prior to that. So many talented
Oh,
models that we had found way before mainstream found them. But of course, you never get credit. So I said, look, this is what we do. How about we take a model and that nobody's really seen yet, and we get behind him. We create a brand ambassador program. We get behind him and we push his career. And that way, we can clearly see, what effect we can have in this industry, how we actually find talent and really foster this talent. So I created the brand ambassador program. 2015 was the first year, and Travis was the
wow.
ambassador. And that is exactly how it happened. In that, it was just like we meshed. You know what I mean? It was a good fit, and it was like he needed a manager, and I was like, oh, here I go with this manager stuff again. You know what I'm saying? But it worked. It worked. It was the brand's fit. I mean, we got along well, the work ethic, it worked. And that is literally how that happened. So thank you to Tank and to Jerry Jones and the Cowboys, because otherwise I probably would not have met Travis.
Absolutely. So,
Yeah.
Christy, all right, all right. So it's interesting that you keep saying, I did not want to manage, I did not want to do that.
No,
And
I
it's
did.
interesting because that's always my answer when people ask me that question.
Mhm.
However, I find myself always falling in some kind of capacity close to that
Right.
without being that. And they're like, well, you call yourself this, but what you're doing is this. And
Right.
I'm like, I don't like that word. Because I feel like when you manage stuff, I always equate management with control, but
Mhm.
I equate consulting with facilitation and support and guidance.
Absolutely.
And
Absolutely.
so, but what I'm hearing you say is that management is management. And if you've done it one way, you've done it another way, you've done it another way, but you got to be business savvy and put things into perspective and be able to make conscious, empirically based decisions for the most part.
Yeah, I mean, you have to, but you know what? You said it beautifully because it really is control. You have to control the situation. You have to be able to make smart, intelligent decisions for whatever or whomever you're managing. Whether
Okay.
it's a store, a person, a business, whatever it is. So you do have to be the one that ultimately controls the situation. Consulting, I do consulting from time to time as well. And that's exactly what it is. Consulting is giving you advice, giving you a path, and ultimately, if I consult you on something, it's up to you to make the decision how you walk along that path. If I am managing you, I am actually managing those steps down that path. So it's a
Ooh.
huge, it is, it's a huge difference. But you also have the responsibility
Mhm.
of what comes out. If you're successful or
That's
not,
true.
this is your
That's true.
responsibility. You know what I mean? So I am responsible for the people that I manage. I am responsible for making sure that we make the right decisions, ultimately
Absolutely.
entire career, you know? And it's a lot and it's something that you have to be prepared for, but you also have to have the wherewithal to walk that path.
Okay.
It's not an easy path to walk. It's not an easy journey to walk. So
Wow. Guys, if you're just checking in, you are listening to It's Consulting Time with the Miss Christy Luxe. And we're getting ready to step out of the entertainment industry and we're getting ready to talk about some big stuff. Now, Christy, I remember the crazy thing is what I'm getting ready to say. I remember sending a message and asking you a question, and I remember the response. I'm gonna get back with you
hmm
because my father passed, and instantly I was like, most of the time when people say, I know how you feel, they're just saying that because they've lost somebody.
Right.
But as a girl that lost her hero,
Mm-hmm.
my daddy was my hero. I just the response,
Yeah.
I was like, oh, all right, I already know what time it is.
Yeah. Yeah. That was tough.
But you took that and his legacy. And what did you do with that, Christy? I need you to tell the people what you did with that.
Well, I, what I happened to do was, I honestly, I wanted to honor my dad's memory. My dad was a Harlem Globetrotter, but my dad was more than that. He was a legend in basketball. He was a high school legend. He was a college legend. He was a Globetrotter legend. He was a
Mm.
rougher legend. My dad did great things for the sport of basketball. And, of course, I grew up with basketball. And I wanted to make sure that I could carry on where, just honor his name. So I looked for, I didn't know exactly what I was going to do at the end of the
Oh,
day. I wasn't sure yet. I knew I wanted to find something that was just along the path. It had to be right for me and also, his legacy. So I wasn't really sure. But I had a friend that owned, a basketball team, a minor league basketball team. And I was like, well, you know what? Let's start there. And I reached out and I was like, hey, let's talk, how's everything going? And before I even got a chance, I was going to like maybe invest in his team or sponsor. I didn't really know what I was going to do. But he told
yeah.
uh, about that he was starting his own league. And I was like, okay, well, that's interesting. Let's talk about that. Because me, I mean, business, first of all. And let me just say,
Absolutely.
I'm a Scorpio. That is my personality, business, power, like this. That's just how we are and that's how we move. So, and I never think small. I never think small. I always want to go big with whatever it is that I'm doing, whatever it is.
Absolutely.
So we had a meeting. I met with him and his partner, and we just could not work it out. We couldn't work it out. We could not come to terms. But you know, that just meant no, not this way. But there's another way of doing things. I don't
I
believe
know
no.
that's right. Tell it.
I mean, no never means no. It just means not that way. It means let's find another way to do it. But it doesn't mean no.
Ooh. No never means no. Just
Just
not that way. All right, I got you.
all day, not that way. So what I did was I was like, okay, well, instead of me coming in partnering and trying to own a small, it was a very small percentage of his brand new league. I said, well, let me start with owning a team. Well, what I'm going to do is I'm going to reach out to the league that he was currently in, that had been in for all these years. Because to me, if I'm going to learn something, I need to learn from the most proficient people that do it. You
All
understand?
right, hello somebody.
Yeah. So instead of me going and learning from a new situation, let me go to an established situation and learn from there.
Hold on, let me adjust myself because you preaching now. Hold on, okay.
Yeah, so that's literally what happened. So I reached out to the league that they were in, that their teams were currently involved in. Because again, I'm gonna start a league. That was still conceptual. And my thought was, well, I mean, if you weren't smart enough to come to terms with me for your league, I don't know that you're gonna successfully be able to do it anyway. Let me go where the success is. And that was my honest, 100%
Shots
honest
fired. Okay.
opinion. So I reached out to the UBA, and I just sent an email like, hey, I'm interested in possibly starting a team. What does that look like? And the owner of the UBA didn't live. He doesn't live here. He lives overseas in Germany.
Oh wow.
Just
Okay.
so happened when I emailed him, he emailed me right back, and he was like, hey, I'm actually going to be in town for about a month. Only come stateside for about a month every year. Just so happened it was going to be like that following weekend. Drove out, met with him, and we talked, and I kind of told him what my vision was. I told him what my background was, kind of where I wanted to go with the team.
Uh huh.
Asked him, what opportunities do you have? And he said, you should consider owning the division. And I was like, okay, I like the way that sounded, but let's talk about what does that look like. We talked, we went through everything, and literally, it was a done deal. It was a done deal. I knew that that was exactly what I had to do. So I purchased the Southern Conference of the UBA, which is men's basketball. 6 teams in my division. One of the teams I personally own or operated, the Atlanta Kings, and I turned that into a co-op, and it's a co-op of women owners, because I wanted women to get into these male-dominated industries. Understand that we can do whatever we want in any industry. We are not confined by anything. So
That's
getting
right.
into this industry, think outside the box. So I had a group of women, and it's like, they're all business owners, so they could own a team without having the responsibility of owning a team. Because at the end of the day, when you're out networking and you're out doing your business and making your moves, and you meet the good old boy who's like, oh, what do you do? You can say, oh, I own a men's basketball team. What do you do? And
Fact.
that's what I wanted to bring to them. I wanted them to learn how to leverage that, and then ultimately break off and own their own team, on their own, or even if it's just staying within the co-op. But that was my vision for that, and we did it, and we did it successfully, and the season was going well, and then the COVID hits, of course. So it ended the season a little bit early, but it was, it's okay because ultimately, safety is, everyone's safety was our main concern.
Absolutely.
So the season was going great, and then the owner, Jermaine Barnes is his name, he reached out, and he said he wanted to talk to me about another opportunity, and we had some meetings, and he was looking for someone to come in as the majority owner of the WUBA, the entire league.
Oh, basketball league. Okay.
League. So now I owned the conference, one division out of many on the men's side. But on the women's side, I am the president and majority owner of the entire league.
Boom.
Yes. And it has been nothing but greatness ever since. And we're, to be able to, let me just backtrack and just say, being a woman that is such a feminist and so pro woman and such a supporter of women, it's always been in the back of my conscience to always be in business where I support men. Krave is a men's magazine. All of my
Yes.
artists are male rappers. My clients, are male models and actors. So my entire career kind of focused around men. And that's always been in the back of my mind, like, I have to find a way to balance that out. Just for my soul. You know what I mean? For my soul, I have to find a way to balance that out. So when this came along, it was so big and so important for me to be able to not only honor what my father has done, you
Yes.
know, and my father he's been around the world 6 times, 6 times around the entire world, met presidents, he lived a life that so many barely even can fathom. And it was all because of basketball. It was, the sport is more than just a sport. It's an
Absolutely.
avenue. We keep kids off the street. People see the world. These young men are able to take care of their families, and and raise men and raise children, and so it's more than just a sport to me. But so now to
Absolutely.
be able to take that, the women's side of that, and to create a space where women can come and really have a professional place to learn about the sport, to grow themselves, professionally, to be prepared to go overseas and learn what it takes to really succeed as a professional. On the women's side is like, I'm like, well, wait a minute. Now, what have I done to deserve all of this? You know what I mean? The universe and God is shining down on me. So
You keep paying it forward.
it's
You keep
so big.
it forward.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And I have to. It's not a choice to me. People don't know that I'm very charitable. I believe in random acts of kindness. I believe in charity. I believe in supporting women who I don't know are like my biggest supporters, and they will reach out and have a question about business, and I'm always going to answer. I don't care if I know you or not. Reach out, I'm going to give you what I have because I feel like it's important. You know what I mean? That's how we build and build community and just stronger relationships, us just as a people. But a lot of people don't know that about me. And I'll tell you a funny story today. So I go to the grocery store and I go in the store and I come out and I see this dog in the car. And somebody had left their dog in the car. The window wasn't cracked or anything. So I'm sitting there and I'm looking like, who left this dog in the car? So I'm like, okay, they probably just ran inside and they're gonna come right back out. Because who would do that? You know what I mean? If you own a dog, you probably love dogs. I don't even own a dog.
True.
Who would do that? So I get in my car, driving home. And the whole time I'm thinking, I wonder if that dog is still in that car. Right? And I'm like, I wonder if they went and got that dog. And I'm like, I should have said so. I should have gone inside and made them get on the PA system and say, whoever's dog is in this car, y'all need to get the dog because I'm going to call the cops and they're going to break the window. I was like, I should have said something. So I'm turning to go to my neighborhood. I was like, I can't. Went back to the store. I went right back to the grocery store. And I'm like, this dog better not be in this car. Because the thing that I said to myself is, I cannot be the person that just watches and doesn't do anything. I can't be that person. I don't care what it is. I cannot watch and just not do anything. I went back to the store, pulled up, and I'm like, okay, he's gone. And then I saw him, I was like, oh, the dog was still in the car. Let me tell you, I parked my car. I got out my car, put my little mask on, of course, and I'm walking up, getting ready to tell them, listen, whoever's car this is, I'm about to call the cops. And then this little old white man comes right before I got to the car. And he opened. Yes, that literally happened. Like it could not sit on my conscience. I was like, I cannot be the person that just watches and does nothing. That's not who I am. I went all the way back to the store just to make sure that dog was not still in the car. So all that to say that the things that I say and the things that I preach and the things that I post, I actually live. So to me, it's important to be able to have opportunities that are about more than just making money,
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Making a name for yourself. Those are not the most important things. It's about really impacting the people whose lives I am, who I touch in whatever way, so yeah. And I did an interview today. It was like a written interview, though I had to answer some questions. And they ask you like, what do you believe success is? And my thing is, you have to be passionate about whatever it is that you pursue. I believe honestly that you have to be passionate. And for me, especially, like I don't care how much money I make, if there's no passion behind it, I don't consider myself successful.
That's it.
Me, success without passion, it's just work. It's just a job. It's just work to me.
Woo!
It doesn't. It's just, yeah. Success without passion is just work. That passion has to be there, and I have to be passionate and get up and every day and love what I do. And I'm literally at that place. I'm at that place, and
Oh my God.
yeah, I'm excited about it.
Wow, guys, you have heard so much from the Miss Christy Luxe, and that's the jewel that you needed to drop. Because I was gonna ask you, what would you say to someone who wants to manage, who wants to develop their own lane? But Christy, you just dropped the gem. Success without passion is just work.
It's just work.
And who wants to just work?
I don't know. Not me.
Wow.
Not me. That's what I do know. Not me. Not me.
Wow.
I need it. Yeah.
So, Christy, as we wind down, what's next?
I mean,
or do you want to push what you have?
I used to always think of what was next. And back, several years ago, I always felt like got to be on the grind, the grind, the grind, the grind. If I'm not doing a million things, I'm not working towards enough. I'm not doing enough. You know what I mean?
Okay.
And ultimately, it was too much. My body started reacting. I wasn't resting. I wasn't well. I didn't feel well. I was overexerted. started working smarter and making some tough decisions, because there was a time when I was actively the editor in chief of Krave Magazine and managing not only Travis Stewart, but 3 other clients and working and a mother. And like I was doing everything and I never rested. I never slept. But I paid for it, just physically, mentally, I was drained. I was exhausted. So it was a tough decision for me to leave Crave. When I stepped down in 2018, like November 2018.
Wow, that was recent. Okay.
Yeah, after 10 years. But I felt like it was time. I felt like it was time for me to expand, and just do different things. I felt like I had done everything I could as the editor in chief. I also thought it was time to, get some new blood in and some new perspective and everything for the magazine. But it's hard to step away from something that you still love so much. It's hard, but it was like I felt like it was a grown up decision that I had to make. It's like you can't do everything, so you have to be smart. You can't do everything, and I felt like I had given what I was supposed to give to Crave.
Okay.
And it was one of the hardest things I had ever done, but it was necessary because I realized I can't do everything and be everywhere and be everybody. So, but I wanted to make a lane. I wanted to create space for whatever was next, and I didn't know what that was at the time.
Okay.
And then you fast forward to about 5 months down the line, and that's when my father passed. So I had the space to step into this arena. And I didn't leave Crave with the intention of doing anything else. I didn't know, I was kind of thinking of segueing into like television and production and things like that. But what I had to do was create space. And once I opened up that space, what was right for me came to me. And I am there now. So what's next is for me to really focus and make sure that my client is successful and continues to thrive. And we're shooting season 2 of The Oval coming up next month.
Absolutely.
We just booked another role today. He's shooting a movie at the end of this month, and he has 2 more movies on deck that we're going to be shooting.
Yes, ma'am.
So that doesn't stop. We're going to keep pushing. I mean, he deserves it. He's worked hard for it. He deserves it, and I'm going to, of course, continue to do what I do to make sure he gets it. And then I'm going to focus on this league because I have a lot of players who are depending on me to handle my business.
Absolutely. And some awesome. I look at the Instagram and I look at, the Facebook page and I even see, that some of the people that you're working with, they're looking for individuals and they want supporters. And it's just, Christy is wonderful. You have opened up doors of opportunity for people that never would get an opportunity to step foot into this arena. And for that, on behalf of them, I say thank you because you're creating avenues for us to walk right up and be like, look, I can do this. Put me somewhere. You are the HCIC, the head chica in charge. And that's just what it is. Guys, you have been listening to the intellect, the boss lady herself, Miss Christy Luxe. And you know what? She can't give it all away. Because I'm going to bring her back because she is a mother and she's raising African American males.
Yeah.
And we already know what's going on, but we don't want to talk about that tonight because this was so refreshing to have a conversation about the opportunities that you're creating for our African American men and women.
Absolutely.
And to just kind of turn off the noise, although I can hear the sirens right now, but turn off the noise and really just talk about business and talk about how we can build. So, Christy, one of the things I want to say to you is this. Keep on keeping on. Keep on doing what you're doing because we are watching you and we are taking notes.
Well, thank you. Yeah. I appreciate it and keep doing what you're doing. Because
Oh,
I see you out there too, and you are winning. And I'm proud of you, man. It's amazing. It's amazing to watch, So it's
well,
definitely
we thank you. We thank you. And we will have you back because we definitely want to have a collective conversation, especially where you are about that topic, because that's a whole different stressor.
it's a whole different one. But yeah, absolutely. And I intend to use as a black woman with a platform. I intend to use that platform for good. So
Absolutely.
yeah, I'd be happy to come back.
Yay. Well, thank you, Christy. And look, have a great night.
Thank you. Bye.
Guys, you just heard from the Christy Luxe. And I gotta put the credentials back up. Christy is the owner of the UBA Southern Conference. She, SHE, is the president of the Women's UBA, and she's a talent manager for Travis Cure, who you will see playing the role of Bobby tomorrow night on BT's The Oval. And like you heard it, he does have a recurring role in The Oval. Shout out to Travis Cure. You're out there doing it. I met this guy when we were filming Deadly Sexy, and he is awesome. Love him to pieces. Hopefully, I will have him on later in the year because right now he got a lot going on. And he's getting ready to film some movies. I'm so excited. I am elated. Guys, this is family to me. Y'all just don't understand. So this platform is here for us, right? It's consulting time is for us. And so, guys, I just want to say I'm going to continue to bring you dope interviews, but more importantly, we're going to all come together and always give joy, justice, and jewels. Good night, everyone.